we will definitely be sharing this. So why don't we get started? I want to introduce myself. I'm Kathy Gardner. I'm the CEO of the Jewish Federation of Greater Dayton. I want to welcome all of you and some of you who've even come from out of town and are thinking of joining us. We are thrilled that you are considering joining the Greater Dayton crowd on our cultural trip to Israel. I want to also thank Debbie Goldenberg and Todd Leventhal for agreeing to chair this. We have done a lot of planning and have been planning for probably over a year to do a very special tour of Israel, and it's a cultural trip. So I want to get started by saying that I will explain what the itinerary is and give you some special insights into some of the things we're doing. We have a pre-tour and then the regular tour, and I'm going to start with the pre-tour, which is the same group, but it's only for those people, not only, it's for those people who've never been to Israel, who are first timers, or who just want to see more of the places that they've visited before. So I'm going to share my screen. Whoops, I messed up. Let's see, share screen, and we'll get started. And then after we go through this, I will entertain all kinds of questions. So this is the cultural trip, and wine, food, art, all those fun things. And the first part of the trip is the pre-tour, which starts November 2nd. Okay, let's see what, this isn't going. Oh, there we go. So for those who are doing the pre-tour, it's best to arrive on Thursday, November 2nd, and most of the flights will leave the United States, and you'll arrive in Israel sometime mid-afternoon. Then you arrive at Ben Gurion Airport right outside of Tel Aviv, and your transfer goes to, you will be going to Jerusalem, because that is our first location. And we'll talk about transfers in a minute, well, in a few minutes, but arrival on Thursday for the pre-tour. The hotel where we're staying is called the Herbert Samuel. And as you can see, it looks like it's right there in the city center. It is at the top of the hill where Ben Yehuda Street begins. For the pre-arrival, for the pre-tour on Friday, because a lot of people have not had the chance to be in Israel before, we have several different places you can go, and I will help you arrange to go to those places. Some of the places people have heard about and really want to go to that we're not going to on the regular tour. First, Yad Vashem, which is, of course, the Holocaust. It's the research center. It is the major Holocaust memorial museum in the world. Another place that we encourage you to go to is as an option, and certainly on Friday you would want to go early in the morning. It's Machane Yehuda, which is the shuk or the market where people will be doing last-minute shopping for Shabbat. So you want to go early in the morning because they will start to close down in the afternoon. Another place is the Cardo, which is the underground market. It used to be a market in Jerusalem. It's in the old city, and they do have some good shopping there. So that's another option. We can help you coordinate any of the things that you want to do that are on this list, or something else maybe. And then the actual group gets together for Shabbat at the Kotel, and on at sundown and right before sundown, the atmosphere and excitement at the Kotel is unbelievable. So you can see all kinds of joyful celebrations as Israelis welcome in the Sabbath. And then after the group goes to experience that special part of Shabbat, we'll all have a Shabbat dinner together in one of our selected restaurants. The next day is the first group activity together for those that are on the pre-tour, and Masada, which is in the south, is something that everybody has to see at least once. And this is the fortress where the Jews were protecting themselves from Roman capture, and instead of being captured, they all did. There was a mass suicide. But it is a symbol of courage of the Jewish people, and it is. You can see it's pretty. It's a pretty interesting climb. There are several ways to go to the top, and the smartest way at present, in my opinion, is to take the cable car, because I have done the difficult path, I've done the ramp path, but we'll take the cable car up. We'll have a guided tour of that area. Not far from Masada is the Dead Sea, which is, first of all, it's the lowest elevation on Earth. It is incredibly beautiful. It's an incredibly different experience. You can't drown, but you better not get any of the water in your eyes, because that can be very painful. But it's something that you have to see, and you'll have an opportunity to swim or float in the Dead Sea. You'll have the opportunity to swim at one of the local hotels and to visit the spa there. It's about an hour from Jerusalem, and you'll come back that evening under the stars to the Tower of David. And this is in the old city of Jerusalem, and there's a night spectacular kind of a program. And so that is what you'll enjoy that night. And then there's sound and music. I mean, there's music, and they do a kind of a night extravaganza. Dinner is on your own that evening. We planned in the trip to have a number of times when you have the opportunity to sample the kind of food that you might like, and we'll help with reservations. We have a list of restaurants that have been tried and tested and approved, and we'll help you with that and with any other places you might like to go. So the next day of the pre-tour, these are the tunnels that are underneath the Kotel, or the Western Wall, and these were excavated in the past decades, and I'm terribly claustrophobic, so I've never been. I can't tell you much about them, but people rave about them. Don't go if you're claustrophobic. This is a nice photo of the tunnel with some space around it, but there are some tight spaces. And then the Jewish quarter in the Old City is another part of the trip. We'll also be going to the Via Dolorosa. In the Old City, there's so many different sections. We have the Jewish quarter and the Arab quarter and the Greek Orthodox, and Jerusalem being the holiest place for so many different religions. Christianity is, of course, represented, and the Via Dolorosa was a very important aspect of Christian history. So that's something worth seeing. Every place you go where you have an opportunity to go to a shuk, it's a phenomenal experience. So the Arab Bazaar will have all kinds of different spices and clothing and all kinds of things to see. You just don't know which way to turn. It's so exciting. So that's part of that trip. And then you'll go back to the Tower of David to look at the some of the recent excavations. That evening is the welcome dinner for everybody who's joining the trip, from the people who did the pre-tour, from people who came early and did things on their own, and to everybody who's joining the trip. So Sunday evening, we will have a welcome dinner with everybody. And everybody will also, the whole group is staying at the Herbert Samuel in Jerusalem. Okay, I have to turn my pages of my itinerary. So after breakfast, which for those of you who have not been to Israel before, breakfast could be, in most hotels, would fill 5 to 10 8-foot tables. It is an enormous spread of all kinds of breads and dairy products and cheeses and fish and vegetables and fruits. And it's kind of, you wish you didn't get full because there's so many things to taste and to enjoy. Every hotel has, all the hotels where we're staying will have the buffet breakfast. And so try different things at each hotel because it is something you'll never experience before. I can't wait for my Israeli breakfast. So we're going to the Israel Museum first on this trip, on day 2. The Israel Museum is also the home of the Dead Sea Scrolls. And what you see here, this is the building that houses the Dead Sea Scrolls. And the shape of this is actually what the shape looked like of the vessel that held the Dead Sea Scrolls when they found that in a cave near the Dead Sea. So that is, they made the building look reminiscent of the historical vessel. This is part of the Israel Museum. There are 3 parts to the Israel Museum. There's the Dead Sea Scrolls. There's a beautiful outdoor sculpture garden. And for those of you who are familiar with the sculpture, the Love sculpture, Love, in a square. In Hebrew, ahava is the word love, and that same design is replicated as one of the beautiful things you can see in the sculpture garden at the Israel Museum. There's also, the museum itself has incredible art and artifacts, and we will have a guided tour through that. We have to go back to the Machane Yehuda, and we're going to have a foodie tour, which means that we'll have a guide who takes us to some of the special food stalls at the Machane Yehuda market, which means there'll be a lot of tasting. So you'll have the opportunity to taste, and if you're not full, you'll have the opportunity to go back to one of your favorites and get more of what they have to offer. The next part of this trip is the Museum on the Seam. And this museum is it's a place where Palestinians and Israelis have the opportunity to express how they feel about being a divided country. And the Seam, the Museum on the Seam, is a place where artists express their feelings about the situation that they're living in Israel. And so we're going to tour that to get a sense of what their experiences are like. Oh, that's not there yet. The next part of that Monday evening is that our hotel is on Ben Yehuda Street. So Ben Yehuda Street has it's a long street that has restaurants and shops all up and down it. We're at the top of the hill. It's a hill, and you'll have the opportunity to go to Ben Yehuda Street for dinner and enjoy whatever kind of food you like. And of course, more shopping if that's on your agenda. And day 3 begins with a trip to the studio of a very famous Dayton artist, David Moss, who is a Judaic and calligraphy master. And he has a studio right outside of the old city in what's called Sultan's Pool. It's a beautiful area, and there's an artist, like a little artist village there. So we'll get a chance to go to his studio. The group will be divided in half, and half will go to his studio because it's small. I've been there, and he has so many interesting things to tell you about his art, what he's done, what he's planning on doing, and that you can see there at his studio. And the other part of the group will be having an experiential artistic workshop with actually, it's with his daughter who runs this program. And this is a group, the picture you're seeing is a group that went there previously. And there are themes, and you'll get to choose whether you want theme A or theme B. Don't know what they are yet, but you'll have 2 choices, and you can experience something relative to a teaching from the Torah. And so they do these workshops all the time with adults and children, and it's a great opportunity for you to do some art while you're in Israel. So that is the morning. You'll have lunch on your own, and there are many places for you to enjoy lunch before we go to the chocolate factory. So that's, you can skip dessert, or you can just have 2, because we'll be enjoying a chocolate factory after lunch. And then this might be in the wrong order because we go next to a winery, but what's wrong with a little afternoon wine? So that's, this is near Jerusalem, and the wineries there are becoming much more sophisticated, and their developments of different flavors are making Israeli wine something that people are enjoying much more in today's world. And then dinner will be on your own, and that will be our last night in Jerusalem. The next morning, we'll get up. Most mornings we want it to be fairly leisurely. This will be the only morning where we'll ask for a little bit earlier departure because we're going up north. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm not doing a good job chronologically. That evening, if we can, we're going to try and get to a performance of there's a symphony in Jerusalem that's made up of Israeli Arabs and Jews, and they have been playing together. It's been featured in a documentary. It's been featured in a film, and I'm working to get us into a performance for this before we leave the next morning for our partnership. The partnership together program is something that the Jewish Agency put together in order for us to make friendships from North America to Israel. Make those friendships so that you feel that you have family in Israel. So the partnership region represented by our group is in Akko and in a municipality called Mate Asher. And on the way up north to the Western Galilee, we're going to stop in an artist village that has all kinds of studios that we can visit, lots of outdoor art, public art. It's a very interesting artist village. And that is right outside of the Western Galilee. This trip coincides and was meant to coincide with the 25th anniversary of us as Dayton, and a number of other cities have joined. We were one of the original cities that joined with the partnership, and there were about 7 cities in the United States that formed a consortium to join with the partnership 25 years ago. So this is the 25th anniversary of our partnership with the Western Galilee. And we now have 17 cities, and they include, they go as far east as Buffalo and as far west as San Antonio, Texas, and north to Illinois and Indiana. Louisville is part of our group as well. So this partnership consortium will be represented at the 25th anniversary gala that they will be having right there on the Mediterranean at the Partnership Center. So that is our first night in the partnership. This is the resort at the Neo Resort, where we'll be staying overnight, 2 nights there. And it's a beautiful, it's not on the water, but it's really a beautiful place that will accommodate, is going to be filled with all of our partnership participants. So it'll be us and everybody else that they can fit in there from the partnership. So right now, I couldn't find a better picture, but that is our partnership center, and it's right there on the water. And we're busy right now planning in cooperation with them, some opportunities to see the culture in this part of the country. And I'll tell you 2 of the things that we're trying to do. One is a really beautiful, professional, artistic glass factory. And the other thing is we have DCDC in Dayton, the Dayton Contemporary Dance Company. In this region, there's KCDC, which is the Kibbutz Contemporary Dance Company. And it's a very professional dance troupe. And we're trying to coordinate with them some activities. There's also an art exhibit that is opening at that will open at the Partnership Center before we get there, but it's part of the celebration. And the Ori Bori restaurant is quite a famous seafood restaurant in the partnership area. And for those of you who get the New York Times, there was an article about Ori in the New York Times section today. And he was talking about how a couple years ago during the riots in Akko, his restaurant was burned down. And he's rebuilt his restaurant. And the article actually was about how, in spite of the fact that his restaurant was burned down, he still believes in coexistence, because our partnership region has a very high percentage of diversity and a much larger Arab population. So they are an example of coexistence. But this is our restaurant that we're going to that evening, and it's a very good seafood restaurant, and he is a world-renowned chef. The next day, we get to go to Tel Aviv. And in Tel Aviv, on Tuesdays and Fridays, they have, as an addition to their market, once you go through the market, you can go right around the corner, and there's a big arts and crafts artist booths and activities, everything, jewelry and memorabilia and all kinds of fun things that they have just a couple times during the week. And that is will arrive in time to go there. And then there'll be a walking tour of one of the more charming neighborhoods in Tel Aviv. And then that evening, we will be overnight in the Crown Plaza right on the beach. And we will have a Shabbat dinner together with the group. On Saturday, there is quite a fascinating graffiti all over the city, and this is just one example. We're going to have a guided tour of street art and graffiti, and you're going to get your own can of paint, and you'll have the opportunity to add to graffiti in one section that allows for it. So that's how we start Saturday morning. The Serona Market is an indoor food court. And when I say food court, we're not talking like McDonald's. We're talking some of the most interesting places. There's one place there where they have about 50 different flavors of halva. I got a bucket, you can get them by the bucket. I got a bucket of the Irish cream flavor. It was delicious. So you have all different kinds of food shops and great places to eat. I had one of the best fish sandwiches I've ever had at the Serona Market. They also have a few shops there, you know, if you're tired of looking at food. And then that afternoon, we go to a whiskey distillery that is certainly something that is the Israeli market is getting into more alcohol production. In addition to the winery, there are distilleries there for whiskey and vodka and all different kinds of things. And I think we should have that opportunity to go visit there. For those of you who know Agam, the artist Agam, this is a new museum. It just opened in the past couple years, and it's all of Agam's art, and it's the first time that I've never seen it, but I certainly know his work, and we will get to go there. And most of us, even if you've been to Israel before, have not seen this. On Sunday, the port city of Jaffa is right due north of Tel Aviv. It's part of Tel Aviv, but it's right there. It's right there on the water. It's the most historic and ancient part of Tel Aviv. And it has, as you can see, some incredibly interesting old buildings and architecture. One of the old buildings there houses the Ilana Gore Museum, and she is a very unique artist. Her work, she makes jewelry, sculpture. This is her home. So when we go tour this museum, there's a couple floors of her, of public art that you can see. The balcony is also open to the public, and then she lives there as well. So we'll have a tour of her home, not by her. Sometimes she kind of runs through and you get to spot her, but tour guides will take you throughout the house, and you'll have the opportunity to look at some very unique and different artwork, and to look at some really great jewelry if that's of interest. In the afternoon, we wanted to give people an opportunity to choose between two up and coming. I mean, we certainly know about the entrepreneurial excellence of Israel. Fashion is also becoming quite, they're becoming quite noted for some internationally famous fashion designers. Galit Reisman is one of the fashion designers, and she will be taking us on a little tour of the fashion world. And the Paris Center for it's not Peach, sorry, it's Peace and Innovation. That will be the other choice that you can make. So you can see some of the major advances that are happening in Israel that are putting us on the world stage. And then it's goodbye, Israel. So Sunday evening, most of the flights leave in the late evening, so you have a full day on Sunday to enjoy, and you have enough time to spend in duty-free shop on your way home. So that was a quick overview. I wanted to give you a really good overview of what the itinerary looks like. I'm going to open it up for questions. I also want you to know that we have on our website, we have the full itinerary, we have frequently asked questions, and I will be putting up information about transfers from the airport. We just got some of that information today. But what I'd like to do is to just go through my screen and welcome you. If you could tell me if this is, when was the last time you were in Israel, or if this is your first time, and what questions you might have. So my first, sorry, Neil, you're first. If you could let us know if when was the last time you were in Israel and what question you might have. Oh, you're on mute.
About 10 years ago, and I really have no questions though.
Oh. And you are from Dayton?
Yes,
Tara.
So I was in Israel in 2018 as my role as Jewish Family Services Senior Director, and I went on a mission at the Partnership Region. We were in the Galilee Medical Center for 5 days.
Wonderful. And so I'm running the trip, but Tara's really the big helper. So two of us together will be able to cover all your questions and make sure you're on time, going where you need to go, and that you're well taken care of. So Alan, you're next.
So I've never been to Israel, so this would be my first time. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, but I've been in Dayton for a long time. And I'm just interested in getting a lot of information because it's on my bucket list, and I definitely want to get there.
Well, we'd love to have you join us.
Thank you.
Sue Gruenberg, you're on mute, so.
I can't hear that. Can't freeze?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I can't hear her.
So I'm going to come back to you, and I'll go to Vicki, and then we'll come back to you, and you can figure out that unmute thing. Vicki Goldenberg-Minstein. Can you hear me? I don't know where she, oh, Sue, you figured it out.
I did. I wish I hadn't. I was there when I was 18, 19 years old. I lived there a year. I was on a trip. They were selecting leaders from 8 different countries, and I was asked to represent the United States. And at that point, I knew every piece of sand in Israel. And now, and I still am in touch with one of the ladies that stayed there. We had our option to live in Israel or go back and be strong here for the Jewish community. So she stayed, and we talk every single Friday morning.
Oh, how wonderful.
And we're both very concerned about what's going on right now. But thank you for doing this. I think it's a miracle land, and everybody will feel that way. And you have to know how to sing "This is the Land of Milk and Honey." That's what you sing on the airplane on the way in.
Okay, well, thank you. I do hope you'll join us, and you'll be shocked at how things have changed.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Vicki, I don't know if you're there. Nope. Michelle and Miles, I believe. You're not on mute, but I can't hear you.
Really?
Oh, now.
Where's
Oh.
Try again.
We are, I don't see anything. Got it now?
Okay, we're
Got it.
All right.
We have never been to Israel, and so we're really looking forward to going, and we want to do the pre-trip. I had a question. Is that a definite something that will take place?
Based on interest, I don't know, I can't remember exactly. It's going to be a smaller group. I mean, we anticipate probably 30 to 40 people for the whole tour, and for the pre-tour, maybe 10 to 12 people. And we planned accordingly. So based on interest, I don't think that we'll have a problem meeting that number. What other questions?
Flights, we will be leaving from Louisville. And my question was, as far as the transfers, and once we get to Jerusalem, will there be someone there to help us, being that we're coming from a different city?
Certainly. So let me just tell you, y'all, a little bit about the flights. Because, so back when I first went to Israel, we all went on the same flights together. That things have changed now because everybody has different airlines that they prefer, and rewards programs, and different times that they want to fly in. So we don't anticipate that there's not going to be, a planned flight of the whole group on this trip. So what we will do is, there are different ways that you can arrange things when you get to the airport. It's an additional fee because it's a special service of the tour company, and it goes from the VIP, where they greet you when you get off the plane, out of the the airway. I forget what they're called, but when you get out there, the VIP will take you from that point to the taxi. There's one that'll take you through passport control, and I'll send you all that information. If you're comfortable and you want to do this on your own, and you don't want to spend the extra money to have an escort, then I will guide you on what is the best, what's the best thing to do when you get there. I've talked with our tour guide. Taxis are easy to get, and so you get off the plane, you go to passport control, you pick up your luggage, go to where the taxi is, and you're off and running. One of the things that I recommend, and that have been recommended to me, is you don't really have to worry about changing money before you get there, because one of the best exchange rates occur if you use your ATM card. So if you go to the airport, and before you get in the taxi and you want some, some Israeli shekels, you can do that right there before you get in your taxi. So there are different levels of, service that's available, and I'll send you all that information. But if you want to do it on your own and want some advice, I can give you all kinds of information that will be helpful. Then say that again.
I would contact you directly as far as getting the information.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll send out the information about the transfers, and then any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay. I think that was it, wasn't it?
Well, we'd love to have you join us from Louisville. And I'm so sorry about what happened in your city today.
That was just terrible.
Every city in the country is going to have it. It's like COVID. Everybody's going to have it.
I'm very sorry, and
Very sad. And
we wish you strength and resilience. Marvin.
And so
I've never been to Israel, and I have no questions at this time.
All right. Well, please join us.
Okay.
And Debbie and Bob Goldenberg, thank you for chairing this trip. And when was the last time you guys were there? I think I know. You have to go off mute.
There you are.
Yep.
Well, the last time I was there was with Pat.
Uh-oh. Debbie, we were getting some feedback.
Okay, is that better?
They're on 20.
Yeah.
120.
You have to kill one.
Yeah. They're on 20s.
If you need to exit from one of your sign-ins, because it's giving us feedback. So I'm going to give you a chance to figure that out. And then I'll go to Harry Berman.
Hi, Kathy. Thanks so much for this very informative presentation this afternoon. And thanks also for welcoming people from the other partnership cities. It sounds like a great tour, especially for people who enjoy food and wine and whiskey. So appreciate that very much. And I'll be interested to learn more about the flights. I think you just said a little bit about it. We would probably be leaving from Chicago, as I expect some other people would be too. So kudos to you and your team for pulling this together.
Well, we'd love to have you. And when it comes to flights, I can tell you that I have researched every single flight on Delta that goes to Israel, but I can help you on all the other flights and talk to you about layovers if you would like, and what are the best flights from what cities in the United States. So if you want your own personal travel agent, I love to research flights.
Marvelous. Okay. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Debbie did it.
I think. Can you hear me?
Well, we still got feedback because you need to get off of the other.
Okay.
You have to remove yourself from the other one.
Okay. How's that?
Perfect.
Okay. Well, the last time I was in Israel was with you, Kathy.
Yes, that's why I knew.
And this will be my 14th trip to Israel. So I am always looking forward to going. This is a different trip. Every trip when you go to Israel is a different trip. So I'm looking forward to all of the special things that we're going to be able to do. Bob, what do you?
Ditto.
Wonderful. Well, I know you'll be joining us, and I'm thrilled. So Bonnie and Walter.
So neither Walter nor I have ever been to Israel, and we both are really interested in the history there. And so I have a little concern, Kathy, and I can talk to you privately about it, about whether food and drink is why we're going. So, but I want to make sure with all the museums you mentioned, that would be right up our alley. So we'll talk further to you about that. I have a couple questions. Not having been to Israel, I always worry about the safety. And I know people always say, oh, it's safe, it's safe.
Wait, I'm sorry about the what? Oh, the safety. Okay. So, all right, when it comes to safety, our tour guide is going to arrange with, I would be speaking to her based on, some of the things that have occurred recently. I can assure you that when groups go, the tour guides, and if there's any security wherever we go, they're very well, they know what to do, how to keep us out of harm's way as best we possibly can. I have to say that, and this is a terrible comparison, but it's probably safer there than it is in the United States, which is not such a good comment about the US, but when you're there, I don't think you feel that danger. We're not going into any areas that are where there's unrest, and we will be keeping a very close eye on any of the current political situation issues that have arisen, because certainly, we know how quickly things change, and so that will be something we'll be keeping an eye on. And we have very good experts in the field who will help us assess the safety and security of where we're going.
The other question I have is, because it sounds like it's a lot of museums and stuff, is it probably less physically taxing than most trips there?
It is.
Or?
We will keep an eye out. So this is not a rush here, rush there kind of a trip that I've been on before. This, you can take more of it at leisure. We will be on a bus, and it's a very comfortable bus. So, but you will be able to have do it a little bit more at leisure. And Israel itself is not this, it's not 100% has an eye on complete accessibility. You know, there's a lot of old structures and, you know, the old city of Jerusalem, but there's different entrances to the old city that are easier to access than the, you know, four flights of stairs at this gate. You can go to this gate and have a much easier entrance, like to go to the Western Wall. And we'll be paying very close attention to that because I know I've had 2 hip surgeries and a knee surgery, and I'm not going to be running about. So it will be easier for those of us who don't jog 20 miles a day.
Thanks, Kathy. This is
You're welcome.
very informative. Thank you.
All righty. Well, I hope you'll join us. Gary and Jane. And I saw Jasper.
Oh, yeah. Well, we went on the Federation tour about 11 years ago when we had Hurricane Sandy. So 2012.
And what questions do you have?
Not really a whole lot. I was going to ask you if we all had a bus, but you just answered that question.
Yep, we do have a bus for the group, and it's very comfortable.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, you know, I hope you're there.
The present situation with the safety aspect is definitely a thought.
Definitely a thought. And I will tell you that we have experts in the area that will give us the best assessment of where to go, where to, you know, to stay away from. You know, the people in our partnership just sent us a video message letting us know that things have gotten back to normal. I mean, there were rockets that were shot from Syria as well as Lebanon. And, you know, hasn't happened for a number of years, but it's certainly what happens in Israel. And so we will all I will keep you updated about any of that situation as we get closer. Mm-hmm. Todd, thank you. You really helped us shape this trip, and I appreciate you co-chairing it with Debbie. When was the last time you were in Israel?
Gabrielle and I were there with our sons. I guess it's somewhere between 12 and 14 years ago. So that was our first time. We had it was a Federation trip. It was a great trip. So we're definitely looking forward to the possibility of going again.
Fabulous.
So I guess I have, thank you for all the time, all the presentation. I think it's been very thorough. I think everyone enjoys that. It seems like there's a good crowd that's interested. I guess a couple of questions. When is the deadline that one has to absolutely make up their mind if they're going or not? I assume that requires a deposit, number one. And number two, even though I find Israel has always been in the news, I find it very safe the first time, but you never know what happens if something does flare up. Is it each individual person would get their own trip insurance if they decided they want to cancel off, or is there, how's that work if something does majorly flare up?
You know, thank you so much for asking that question. I promise you it wasn't a plant, but it's really one of the most important things to talk about. And that is, we do have from the tour operator a certain amount of refund, you know, based on when you might change your mind. There is a non-refundable deposit, but the full cost of the trip from the tour operator, we can send. That's one of the frequently asked questions in terms of when you could cancel and get a refund. But that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is that if you don't get trip insurance, your flight, which isn't cheap, you won't get any refunds there. So, and if you don't, you must look into trip insurance, because if you have to cancel a few days before, for whatever reason, that part you will have insurance for, where you might not have any of a refund from, let's say, from the tour company. So trip insurance, and we do have, Alyssa, I think we have a place where people can go to for trip insurance in the frequently asked questions. Oh, it's the first question. Let's see. Visit travelinsurance.com or squaremouth.com, or any insurance that you're used to. One of the most important expenditures that you can make. So yes. I will talk to each of you individually if you have any questions about it, but that is primary importance. So thank you. Hi, Amy. Are you going to join us, or are you just
seeing? I'm definitely info gathering and sharing it with people. I'm the Partnership Together community liaison for Louisville, and we are incredibly grateful for you inviting other cities to join. And I'm delighted to see somebody popped off, but I'll be getting with him later. So there is interest in Louisville, and if there's enough interest, then I too will be joining. And it is an exciting trip. So I'm going to go back to Todd's question because I have it in my notes, but there's no answer, which was the deadline.
Oh, the deadline. Okay, so I don't have the deadline information handy or in my head handy. So I'm going to have to answer that. Let me see. Do I find this here? Alyssa, is that on our FAQs? I know it's the cancellation policy is. I know the deadline for full payment is a month in prior, but let me.
I'll have to look. I know it's somewhere. I'll have to look.
We'll put that in our FAQs, which are easily accessible from our website, jewishdayton.org.
The other question I do have was from somebody else in our community who is interested. And again, I know the answer. I'll just ask it aloud.
Sure.
She is not Jewish, but there's nothing stopping her from attending this trip.
The trip is, we're going to the Jewish homeland. So it is going to be, you're going to feel very Jewish there and experience a lot of Jewish things. However, it's a wonderful place for people of all religions. And this is not a religious trip that incorporates any religious doctrines. So everybody is welcome, and we would be thrilled to have anybody come join us. There are some important sites to Christians that we might not be going to, and if somebody is interested, we can talk to them about that. If they want to, if this person wanted to come a couple of days early, and we could make sure that they would have a way to get to those places if that's in their interest. But yes, everybody's welcome.
And then the other question she had was, again, if she is traveling alone, is she forced to do the single occupancy, or will you be trying to match up roommates?
If we have people who are interested, absolutely. But I don't believe with these numbers that we will have, we'll have people taking singles, but they might not be open to sharing.
Okay, I will let her know that.
So, yes. So Adam.
Hi, Kathy and everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Adam Feiner. I am also Tara's other half. And I have not been to Israel before, so this is exciting. This will be my first time. Some of the questions I had have already been asked, so thank you for those who got ahead of me and asked the questions. The only one I have is more mechanical, both for you, Kathy, and anyone else in general, which is when booking travel, when have you found it's best to book the flight? Since it doesn't always seem like earlier is always better, but obviously not too late either. So.
Right. I know you have to hit that sweet spot. And I booked my flight. Tara and I booked our flights probably 6 weeks ago, maybe even 2 months ago. And I've been checking the flights, and the ones that we booked are pretty similar in price. I will say that one of the best things to do is if you go on the like if you go on Delta, which is the airlines I always fly. So if you go on Delta and you put in my dates are flexible, you can see the difference in prices. So instead of going on a Wednesday, you go on a Tuesday. That might be the better price. So I encourage you to do that. But I would check the flights now. You don't know what's going to happen. This year is the bookings for trips to Israel went out of the roof. I mean, they are over the top because COVID's over, in my opinion. We know it's not, right? We know some people who've just had it, but so COVID is over in terms of people traveling, and so those numbers are huge. And this is the 75th anniversary of the establishment of the State of Israel. So this year, an incredible amount of travel has been planned for Israel. That's why the prices are a little bit higher than I anticipated. Hotels are expensive and sold out for this year, and flights are going to be a little bit more. So this is not the most economical time to go. However, it's one of the most significant times to go. With all that being said, start checking your flights now and looking at pricing, because it could go up or it could go down. Before I started booking, I checked them every other day, and it's a good thing to do.
Okay, thank you.
Patty.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Kathy, for this wonderful presentation. Very informative. I have never been to Israel. 3 of my children and my husband have been there at least once or more. So I am but I'm very interested. It sounds exciting. I have a question. So there's a likelihood that I might be traveling by myself. So I would be curious to know, at least from this area, who's going. So maybe I could even fly with them or just have kind of a buddy system, since it'll be all new to me.
Well, I can certainly answer all of those questions individually for anybody who has them. And if you're getting ready to, I can tell you some of the other flight times and make it easy for you. And hope you'll join us, especially for the pre-tour.
Thank you.
I know there's, Gabrielle, are you able to ask to get on screen? Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I don't know if you want me talking.
Oh, no, I don't want you to. I don't want you to strain your voice, but we're thrilled that you'll be joining us. Andrea.
Hey, thank you, Kathy. This
Hello.
is quite interesting. Hi, everybody. Let's see. I have never been. Gary's never been. My oldest is going for her 4th or 5th time, and my youngest has been there once or twice. So yeah, the trip sounds very interesting, and we'll have to see.
Okay,
so, but
well,
yeah, most of the questions were all answered. As far as everything and anything else, we'll just email. But
yep,
I like all the food and the wine. That's always good. So
food, wine, art, and you're going to get the flavor of Israel. So yes. So we'd love to have you join us, and certainly if you've never been, the pre-tour is something to consider, because those are the places that you have to see at least once.
all right, thank you.
All righty. So Ted, do you have any questions? There you are.
No questions. Sorry, it's just kind of busy time here at the house, the kid and feeding everyone and all that fun stuff. No questions. Last time I was in Israel, I think, was 2012. October, end of October, early November. So yep.
Wonderful. All right. Well, I know you're joining us, and we're thrilled, and you'll be part of the pre-tour because Alicia, is this your first time? Okay. All right. Well, lots to see. And I want to assure everybody that no question is too small or too silly to ask me. And I lived in Israel, and I've been a number of times, and whatever you want to know, I'm happy to tell you. So please be in touch with me personally if you want anything answered. Patty asked a very important question. What's the weather like? So we're going to be in 3 different regions. Israel is the size of New Jersey, but the temperature can vary drastically. So we're going to start in Jerusalem, and in November, it has the potential to be chilly. So, I mean, Jerusalem seldom gets snow, but we're certainly not in the snow season, but it could be chilly there. So you're going to need something for some brisk evenings. It's, you know, in the daytime, certainly in Tel Aviv, it can be warm, but you're not going to have the summer weather that's unbearable in Tel Aviv, which is high temperatures and high humidity. So it's kind of a really perfect time to go. In the Western Galilee, it will be similar to, well, it's kind of in between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv in terms of the temperature. There is the potential. So I'm from Florida, and it rains every day in Florida from April to September, you know. In Israel, when I lived there, I was kind of surprised. It rains in the winter. So we will be there in November, and there is a potential for some rain. But if you're there in the summertime, there's no rain there. So just be prepared with something for cold weather. And the rest of it, I'll just put in a good order for perfect temperatures and no rain. Well, I really thank you. And as I said, we recorded this. If you want to review it again, if you want to share it with folks, I can send you our PowerPoint presentation. We'll just put it on the website. Give us a day at least to get that organized, and you can share it with family and friends. And we certainly love you on our trip. And we're excited that this is a partnership trip and that some of you might be joining us from other cities. So thank you for your time, and we're going to have a grand time in Israel. I'll see you at the next discussion. Bye-bye. Thank you.